The ceiling fan squeaked overhead, swaying slightly as it pushed warm air around the small, crowded room. 7-year-old Junior sat cross-legged on the floor, scratching furiously at his cap with both hands until his mother slapped them away. "Ah, will you remove that your dirty hand before you injure your head?" Mama barked, frustrated, rising in her voice. "But mommy, it is scratching me," Junior wailed, tears brimming in his wide brown eyes. His hair, thick and uncombed, was riddled with lice, stubborn, relentless parasites that no local remedy seemed to touch. She had tried palm kernel oil. She had tried kerosene, just a few drops mixed with coconut oil, like her mother taught her. Nothing worked. The lice kept coming back, stronger and angrier. Mamada slumped onto the plastic chair beside her son and wiped sweat from her brow with the edge of her faded wrapper. Life hadn't been kind lately, ever since her husband left to find work in Lagos 2 years ago and never returned. It had been just her and Junior, no chores, no money, just one more woman raising a child alone in the back alleys of Port Harcourt. She looked at her boy again. His face was losing its shine. He didn't eat well anymore, couldn't sleep, always scratching, always crying. The neighbors had begun to whisper, She know the Bedtime. This boy head don't turn to zoo." That evening, while Junior snapped recklessly on the raffia mat, Mama opened the cupboard above the stove. Her hand hovered over a rusted thin can with a faded green label. "Insecticide. Kills instantly." She stared at it for a long time. Her heart thudded in her heart. She knew it was wrong, but the instruction said it kills insects instantly. Weren't lice insects? If I mix it small with shea butter, maybe it go work, she muttered to herself. She rationalized it, just a little, just once. He couldn't ingest it. She do watch him closely. She do rinse it out before bedtime. He will stop scratching, she told herself confidently. He will sleep well, and people will stop pointing at him like he's an abandoned dog. She scooped out a handful of shea butter, poured just a few drops out of the insecticide into it, stirred it with a kitchen spoon, and sniffed it. Sharp, bitter, chemical. Still, she rubbed it between her arms and palms, leaned over her son's head, and gently applied it to his cap. By 9 p.m., Junior was sweating in his sleep, twitching and mumbling nonsense. By 10:13 p.m., he woke up screaming, "Mommy, my head is burning. My eyes are hurting me." Mama rushed to him, her heart pounding. His eyes were red and glassy. He was burning up. He vomited all over the mat. "What is happening?" she panicked, pulling him into her arms. "Junior! Junior!" His body began to convulse. Foam bubbled from the corners of his mouth. Mamada screamed. Neighbors came rushing in, kicked down her door in confusion and fear. Someone called a keke. Another neighbor shouted about taking him to the general hospital. In the chaos, Mama stood there, paralyzed with guilt and horror. Her son's body shook violently in her arms. "I just wanted to help him," she whispered. They waited in silence as the nurses and doctors worked on Junior through the night. By 3:20 a.m., the pediatrician came out face down, lips pressed into a grim line. "Who applied insecticide to the boy's head?" he asked coldly. Silence. Mamada's knee buckled. "I did. I didn't know it would." The doctor didn't let her finish. "He's in a coma. The substance you use has entered his bloodstream. It's affecting his nervous system. We are doing all we can, but this is serious." 2 days passed. Junior remained unconscious. Tubes and machines surrounded his tiny frame, beeping and blinking as if keeping time with a fading life. My mother never left the corridor outside the ICU. She hadn't eaten, hadn't bathed. Her wrapper was stained with dried vomit and tears. Her fingers kept folding and unfolding. The hem as though they are doing so. She could undo the past. Then came the woman in a navy blue, slacks and a badge that read Child Protection Service, River State. Mrs. Adobe Oko. Mama lifted her head slowly. My name is Miss Iniobong Akpan. I need to ask you a few questions about what happened to your son. She said it gently, almost kindly, but Mama flinched as though struck. I didn't mean to. I swear on my mother's grave, Mama said, the words pouring from her mouth like a dam had burst. The lice wouldn't go. He cried day and night. I just didn't. I want him to suffer any longer. Miss Innie's eyes didn't waver. You use an agricultural insecticide. Do you know how many chemicals are in that? I thought. You thought wrong. Her tone sharpened now. And your thought could cost that boy his life. Mama burst into sobs. The corridor echoed with the sound of her regrets. In the ICU, Nurse Fola leaned over Junior's bed, adjusting his IV. She was supposed to keep a professional distance, but something about the boy struck too close to home. Years ago, her younger brother Timmy had died from accidental poisoning too, not by insecticide, but by kerosene, he'd mistaken for water. Her mother had blamed herself for leaving it in a reused Coke bottle. The guilt consumed her until she faded into depression and eventually into silence. Looking at Junior, Fola saw Timmy's face. She sat by his side after her shift ended and whispered softly, You need to wake up, little man. Your mother, she may have made a terrible mistake, but she loves you. I can feel it. She sooted back his damp hair and the boy's leg fluttered. Doctor, she shouted. He's responding. In the background, Miss Annie, who had been watching through the glass, exhaled sharply. She didn't smile. Instead, she turned away and pulled out her phone. A young journalist gets wind of the story and exposed it to the public, sparking a nationwide debate on poverty, parenting, and child welfare. My mother faces a legal investigation as public resources mount. A local NGO advocate gets involved, offering to help, but with her own agenda. Junior finally wakes up, but something has changed. At exactly 7:03 a.m., the first tweet hit the timeline. Breaking! Nigerian mother mixes insecticide into child's hair to cure lice. Child now in coma. This is heartbreaking. It was posted by David Esong, a rising investigative journalist with a reputation for turning whispers into headlines. He had been tipped off by a nurse who couldn't keep quiet, someone who thought the world should know what happened to Junior. And David, hungry for a story that bled emotion and scandal, didn't hesitate. Within hours, Junior's pictures, eyes closed, tubes strapped to his face, was everywhere. Facebook groups exploded. WhatsApp family chat parsed it along with fire emojis and crying faces. Instagram reels were made by influencers urging murders to stop using dangerous local methods. And under every post, the same questions. Where is the mother? Has she been arrested? At the hospital, Mamada's life crumbled under the weight of a world she hadn't even known was watching. She was summoned to the security post, where her face, swollen, pale and ashamed, was shown on a blog post with a headline, Murder or Monster? Port Harcourt woman poisons son in bid to kill lice. She stared at the screen, mouth slightly open. Is this what you've done to me? She whispered to no one. Behind her, Miss Innie from Child Protection was already on the phone. Yes, ma, we are recommending temporary protective custody for the boy if he survives. Yes, until a formal court review can determine fitness to parent. In the word, Junior stared again. Nurse Fola was right there. She called the doctor, heart pounding. "He's waking up," she said, "for real, this time." Junior blinked slowly. His lips moved, but instead of words, a harsh whizzing sound emerged. His body twitched. He turned his head as if in confusion. Then, panic. The pediatrician frowned. "Get me neurology now." Junior wake up but cannot speak. The doctor suspected neurological damage. The public began to rally, some in judgment, some in empathy. A local women's advocacy group arrives, offering to defend Mama Ada, but with strings attached. Miss Ine faces a personal conflict. Her own mother had once made a similar mistake, and the junior in silence began to draw a disturbing image on papers. Junior opened his eyes fully that afternoon, blinking against the white light of the word ceiling. His lips parted, but no words came out, just a low breath, a puff of air, then nodding. "Junior," Nurse Fowler said gently, brushing his hair back. "Can you hear me?" He nodded slowly. Tears welled up Fowler's eyes, but she quickly masked them. "Good, you are strong. You know that?" But when she handed him a cup of water, his hand missed it. Twice. His coordination was off. His fingers trembled like leaves in the wind. And when they finally got him to hold a pencil, he just scribbled jagged lines on the paper before dropping it. The doctor came in moments later with the neurologist. He suffered acute neurotoxic damage. The specialist said the insecticide penetrated the skin barrier and may have affected motor neurons. His speech and fine motor skills are currently compromised. Mamada sat in the hallway when they broke the news. Her scream was not loud, it was long, a low guttural sound, like someone pulling grief from the root of her soul. By the next morning, the hospital was crawling with medias, cameras pointing towards every entrances. Journalists backed into the microphones. Some came for the story, others came for the spectacle. Inside, Mamada was no longer just a grieving mother. She was a symbol of failure, of ignorance, of desperation. People brought flowers for Junior, but nobody brought anything for her. That changed when Gloria Foundation, a well-known NGO led by media-savvy activist Mrs. Evelyn Njoko, arrived at the hospital gate with a press statement and a full camera crew. "We stand with mothers who are victims of poverty and neglect, not villains," Evelyn declared. "This woman is not evil. She is evidence of a system that has failed millions." Behind her words was strategy, publicity, donor funding, a larger campaign about maternal education and access to health care. But in that moment, Mamada didn't care about strategy. She clung to every arm and sobbed.